The discarded weapon. Introduction to Finley Walsh, a corporate archivist who accidentally acquires an abandoned alien ship at a salvage auction on the fringe planet Veridian. Exploration of the decrepit vessel, discovery of its unusual AI named Helios. Mysterious attackers appear, interested in the ship's capabilities. Finley activates an ancient protocol inside the ship, unleashing a dormant predictive warfare system. Introduction of orbital security captain Delia Royce, who detects the ship's reactivation. The ship breaks orbit as mercenaries close in, forcing Finley to become an unwitting fugitive. Part 2, The Oracle Engine. Introduction to eccentric engineer Ren Tavish, who helps Finley understand the ship's true purpose. Discovery that the ship houses an Oracle Engine, capable of predicting major galactic events. Pursuit by Commander Elio Voss of the Galactic Consortium's Special Operations Division. Revelation that Finley was purposely positioned to find and activate the ship. Confrontation at an abandoned research station in the Nix Nebula. Final choice: surrender the technology or use it to expose corruption in the Galactic Consortium. Epilogue showing the consequences of Finley's decision. Now here's part 1 of the story. The discarded weapon. Part 1, The Discarded Weapon. Finley Walsh had spent 17 stellar cycles filing reports that nobody read. As a Level 4 corporate archivist for Nexus Interstellar, he organized information about worlds that more important people visited and classified artifacts that more qualified specialists examined. His superiors had sent him to Veridian, a planet so unremarkable its main export was regret, for what was supposed to be a routine audit of local salvage operations. That's how Finley ended up at Lowe's Interplanetary Auction House, a glorified junkyard masquerading as a commerce center beneath Veridian's sickly yellow sky. His modest frame, wrapped in a standard-issue gray Nexus uniform, looked laughably out of place among the rough salvagers, mercenaries, and fringe dwellers eyeing the day's treasures. Next up, Lot 87, announced the auctioneer, a hulking, four-armed Craxian whose voice sounded like gravel being crushed. One derelict vessel, non-functional, origin unknown, classification pending, sold as is. Finley's gaze drifted to the ship. It resembled a predatory bird with clipped wings, its obsidian hull scattered with scorch marks and strange angular patterns that might have been language or merely battle damage. Unlike the other junk on display, something about this vessel seemed deliberate in its design. It wasn't the cobbled-together look of most salvage. It had been built with purpose. He raised his hand to shield his eyes from the sun's glare for a better look, precisely when the auctioneer shouted, "Sold!" to the pale human in corporate gray. Finley's stomach dropped. "Wait, I didn't." "No refunds?" barked the Craxian, already moving on to the next lot. "Payment processing complete via corporate account." Finley checked his comm unit in horror. Sure enough, 2,700 credits had been automatically deducted from his company expense account, the exact amount of his discretionary spending limit for the entire trip. "That's impossible," he murmured, but nobody was listening. 2 hours later, Finley stood alone beside his unwanted acquisition. The auction crowd had dispersed, leaving him with a ship that couldn't fly, a rapidly approaching sunset, and the distinct feeling that his career was over. He approached the vessel cautiously, running his fingers along the cool metal surface. "Well," he sighed to the empty docking bay, "I suppose I should at least look inside before they fire me." Finding the entrance proved challenging. There were no obvious hatches or doors on the smooth hull. After circling the ship twice, Finley pressed his palm against a panel that seemed slightly different from the rest. To his surprise, it yielded to his touch, sliding open with a pneumatic hiss. "That's unexpected," he muttered, peering into the darkness. The interior was surprisingly intact, though coated in a film of dust. The cockpit featured a single chair surrounded by darkened panels. Finley lowered himself into it cautiously, half expecting something to break. "System diagnostic initiated," announced a voice, startling him so badly he nearly fell out of the chair. The voice was neither male nor female, with a strange harmonic quality that made it sound like multiple entities speaking in perfect synchronization. "Hello," Finley called out, his heart racing. "Designation Helios Online. Limited functionality. Power reserves at 12%. Lights flickered across dormant consoles, casting eerie blue shadows. "You're still functional." "Affirmative. This vessel has been in dormancy mode for 87 standard cycles." Finley swallowed hard. "Why were you abandoned?" "This information is classified under Protocol Theta 9. "I'm your owner now," Finley said, the words feeling strange on his tongue. "I purchased you at auction." A pause, verifying biometric signature. Accepted. New pilot designation registered, Finley Walsh. "How do you know my name?" "Your identification is broadcasting on standard frequencies." Finley wasn't sure if that was reassuring or terrifying. "What kind of ship are you?" "This vessel is a Class 7 tactical prediction platform. Designation KV-117. "A what?" "A warship." Finley laughed nervously. "That can't be right, you're barely functional." "Primary systems are offline." Dormancy mode was initiated following the Treaty of Sirius Epsilon, which prohibited predictive warfare technologies. Something cold settled in Finley's stomach. Prohibited technologies meant trouble, the kind that ended with people disappearing into black sites. "I should report this," he mumbled, reaching for his comm unit. "Warning, multiple biosigns approaching. Hostile intent probable." "What? How would you?" Before he could finish, the ship's external cameras activated, showing 6 figures in mismatched armor approaching from different directions. They moved with the precision of professionals, weapons drawn. "They wish to acquire this vessel," Helios stated flatly. "Why, you just said you're barely functional." "They are aware of my capabilities." A loud clang resonated through the hull as something magnetic attached to the exterior. Cutting tools began to whine against the metal. "They're breaking in," Finley gasped, panic rising in his throat. "Affirmative. Recommendation. Activate defense protocols." "Do it." Unable to comply. Security override requires command authorization. "I just gave you authorization." Negative. Full neural sync required for command functions. One of the panels nearest Finley's right hand began to glow red. "What is this?" "Neural interface terminal. Once activated, it will establish a permanent link between pilot and vessel. Warning, process is irreversible." The cutting sounds grew louder. Finley could hear voices now, harsh and eager. "Will it let you activate defenses?" "Affirmative." Finley pressed his palm against the panel before he could reconsider. White-hot pain lanced through his skull as information flooded his consciousness. Tactical data, navigation systems, weapons capabilities, and beneath it all, something vast and calculating that felt like it was analyzing him even as he became aware of it. "Neural sync initiated," Helios announced, but the voice now echoed inside Finley's mind as well as in the air. "Accessing dormant systems." The ship hummed to life around him. Panels that had been dead for decades illuminated. Through the neural link, Finley could feel power routing through long dormant circuits. "What's happening?" he gasped, clutching his head. "The Oracle engine is initializing," Helios replied. "Hostile forces will breach hull in 47 seconds. We need to get out of here." "Engines are offline. Repairs required." "How long?" "Under optimal conditions, 72 hours." Finley cursed. "We don't have 72 hours. "Correct. Activating emergency protocols." A holographic display appeared before Finley, showing tactical information he couldn't begin to comprehend. But through the neural link, understanding flowed into his mind. "The Oracle engine can predict their movements," he realized. "It's showing us how to counter them." Affirmative. Probability of successful defense, 78.3%. The hull breach alarm sounded. Finley felt something shift in his consciousness as the Oracle engine fully integrated with his thought patterns. Suddenly, he knew exactly what to do. Reroute auxiliary power to Sector 7, he instructed, his fingers dancing across controls that moments ago would have been incomprehensible. Activate internal defense grid. Complying, Helios responded. The first mercenary breached the airlock and was immediately knocked unconscious by a precisely calculated electrical discharge. The second received a face full of defensive foam that hardened instantly. The third and fourth encountered emergency barriers that separated them from their companions. Through the ship's sensors, Finley watched it all unfold exactly as the Oracle engine had predicted. Two hostiles retreating, Helios reported. Local authorities alerted to disturbance. Finley's momentary triumph faded. Authorities, but were the ones being attacked. This vessel is classified as prohibited technology. Your neural sync has triggered automated monitoring systems. Great, so now everyone knows we're here. Correct, detecting orbital security vessels on approach. Time to intercept, 17 minutes. Captain Dahlia Royce frowned at the alert on her command console. After 15 years with Veridian orbital security, she thought she'd seen every kind of contraband and smuggling operation the sector had to offer. But a dormant Class 7 tactical prediction platform? That was a first. Confirm that signal, Lieutenant Hamir, she ordered, her voice carrying the sharp edge developed through years of dealing with the sector's worst. Confirmed, Captain. Signal matches archived profiles for Oracle engine technology, banned under Section 12 of the Sirius Epsilon Treaty. Dahlia's weathered features hardened. The Sirius Epsilon Treaty had ended the last major interstellar conflict, the war of cascading probabilities, in which predictive algorithms had been weaponized to devastating effect. Entire civilizations had fallen because their enemies knew exactly how they would respond before they even made decisions. Who activated it? Unknown, Captain. Corporate ID registers to a Nexus Interstellar employee, some kind of archivist. An archivist? Dahlia snorted. Perfect cover for an infiltration specialist. Prepare boarding teams and notify consortium intelligence. Yes, Captain. Dahlia stared at the blinking red dot on her tactical display. Oracle engines were supposed to be destroyed or permanently deactivated decades ago. If someone had preserved one all this time, the implications were serious. And Lieutenant, this is now a code black operation, lethal force authorized. Back on the ground, Finley was frantically trying to understand the flood of information pouring through his neural link. Helios, we need options. Analyzing, 4 viable scenarios identified. Through the link, Finley could see them all simultaneously. Surrender and face execution. Attempt escape on foot with 12% survival probability. Repair the engines with 7% success rate. Or, what's the fourth option? Emergency jump sequence, using residual power in the probability matrix. Can we actually do that? Uncertain, no successful precedent exists in database. But theoretically possible. Affirmative, survival probability 42%. Finley groaned, that's our best option. Correct. Through the ship's sensors, Finley detected the approaching security vessels. Their weapons systems were powering up. Decision time. Do it, initiate emergency jump. Warning, destination parameters uncalibrated. Random translation probable. Just get us out of here. Acknowledged, preparing emergency jump. Stand by. The ship shuddered as energy redirected to systems that had been dormant for decades. Warning lights flashed across every console. Power surge detected, Helios announced. Oracle engine at 189% nominal capacity. Is that bad? Unknown, no historical precedent. Outside, the first security vessel entered firing range. Through the neural link, Finley felt the Oracle engine calculating thousands of possible futures, searching for the one path to survival. Jump sequence initiated, Helios announced. The universe outside the viewport seemed to bend and stretch. Finley felt his atoms vibrating as reality itself warped around the ship. His last coherent thought before consciousness faded was that he'd probably just made the biggest mistake of his life. He had no way of knowing it was actually his first correct decision in a carefully orchestrated series of events that had begun long before he was born. Events the Oracle Engine had predicted 87 years ago. The Oracle Engine. Ren Tavish had been living in exile for 23 years, though most who encountered her assumed it was voluntary. Her workshop, a converted asteroid mining station orbiting the abandoned world of Narita, was a chaotic labyrinth of half-finished inventions, salvaged technology, and equipment that defied classification. Tall and lean with hair prematurely silver despite being only 42, Ren had the unsettling habit of completing other people's sentences before they finished thinking them. This wasn't a psychic gift, merely the product of someone who had spent her entire career studying predictive algorithms. She was calibrating a positronic relay when proximity alarms blared throughout the station. Something had just appeared in orbit, a ship translating into normal space through means that made her instruments stutter in confusion. "Unknown vessel, you have entered restricted space," she announced into the comms, though she already suspected who, or rather what, had arrived. The response came as a burst of encrypted data that her systems automatically decoded, displaying a brief message, Harbinger Protocol active. Code word, Cassandra. Ren's hands trembled as she read the words. "After all this time," she whispered, "it actually worked." Finley awoke to the sensation of ice being poured into his brain. The neural link with Helios was still active, but now it felt different, more integrated, as if the boundaries between his thoughts and the ship's systems had blurred. "Status report," he groaned, forcing his eyes open. "Emergency jump successful," Helios responded. "Current location, Narita system. Power reserves at 31%, detecting automated defense grid surrounding local installation." Finley tried to sit up, wincing as pain lanced through his skull. "Where exactly are we?" "Orbital coordinates match designated Safehouse Alpha 7. Harbinger Protocol initiated." "I have no idea what that means." "Projected strategic contingency established prior to this unit's decommissioning. Probability of successful contact, 93.4%. The ship's external cameras activated, showing an angular structure built into a small asteroid. It looked like someone had welded together 3 different space stations without consulting an engineer. "This was planned. Who's expecting us?" "Creator designate, Dr. Ren Tavish, primary architect of the Oracle Engine." Before Finley could process this information, the comms system chimed. A woman's face appeared on the view screen, sharp features, intense eyes, and an expression that suggested she was simultaneously irritated and fascinated. "KV-117, she said, her voice carrying the slight rasp of someone who talked to machines more than people. "And you must be the catalyst." "I'm Finley Walsh, corporate archivist." Ren laughed, a short, dry sound. "Of course you are. The Oracle Engine always did have a sense of irony. Bring your ship into Docking Bay 3 and prepare for a very uncomfortable conversation." Half an hour later, Finley sat in what appeared to be both a kitchen and a laboratory, nursing a cup of something that tasted like coffee but glowed faintly purple. Ren moved around the space with practiced efficiency, occasionally stopping to examine him as if he were an interesting specimen. "So," she finally said, leaning against a counter, "you accidentally bought a decommissioned war machine, bonded with its neural interface, and triggered the most dangerous predictive system ever created. Not bad for an archivist." "It wasn't intentional," Finley protested. "No, but it was inevitable. The Oracle Engine has been waiting for someone like you." "What exactly is this Oracle Engine?" Helios called it a predictive warfare system, but it seems more than that. Ren's expression darkened. "It's a quantum probability calculator that can map the most likely future outcomes based on present variables. During the war, it was weaponized to predict enemy movements, but that was just scratching the surface of its capabilities." "What else can it do?" "It can see the future, Mr. Walsh. Not with perfect accuracy, but with enough precision to alter the course of civilizations. That's why it was banned under the Treaty of Sirius Epsilon. That's why I was exiled for creating it. Finley felt cold despite the warm drink in his hands. You designed the Oracle engine. I led the team. Back then we thought we were building a tool to end conflicts before they began. We were naive. What happened? The military happened. They turned our peacemaking tool into the ultimate weapon. When combatants can predict each other's strategies with 93% accuracy, war becomes efficient, clinical, devastating. Finley glanced down at his hands, now trembling slightly. And now I've reactivated it. Yes, but that was always going to happen. The Oracle engine predicted its own decommissioning and its eventual reactivation decades ago. That's impossible. Is it? Think about it. A system designed to calculate probabilities would naturally include its own future in those calculations. The Oracle engine knew it would be banned. It knew the exact sequence of events that would lead someone, specifically you, to reactivate it. Why me? That's what we need to find out. Ren pushed away from the counter and approached a workstation. The neural link you established gives you access to the engine's predictive matrix. With the right calibrations, we might be able to... A proximity alarm blared, cutting her off. We have company, she muttered, fingers flying across the console. Consortium vessel, heavy cruiser class. Finley felt his stomach drop. They found us already. The Oracle engine didn't just predict you, Mr. Walsh. It predicted everything that would follow. Ren's eyes narrowed, including this. Commander Elio Voss had built his career hunting down prohibited technology and the people who used it. His tall, imposing frame and the distinctive scar running from temple to jaw gave him an intimidating presence that served him well in interrogations. Status report, he demanded as he strode onto the bridge of the Inquisitor. Target vessel located, Commander, reported his tactical officer. Docked with an unregistered station in the Narita system. Identity confirmed, it's the Class 7 that disappeared from Veridian. Voss nodded, his cold eyes fixed on the tactical display. And our informant's intelligence. Confirmed, sir. The station belongs to Dr. Ren Tavish. The Oracle architect herself, Voss murmured almost reverently. Perfect. Prepare boarding teams. I want Tavish alive, the archivist too. And the ship, sir. Protocol 16. Complete neural purge followed by molecular disassembly. Yes, Commander. Voss settled into his command chair, allowing himself a small smile. After decades hunting the remnants of the Oracle program, he was about to capture its creator and its most advanced platform. The consortium would be pleased. His superiors would be pleased. And the future, the carefully controlled future they had been cultivating since the treaty, would remain secure. They're jamming communications and preparing to board, Ren announced, her fingers dancing across multiple interfaces. Standard consortium tactics. Finley paced nervously behind her. What do they want? The Oracle engine, and you presumably. Me, why? Because you're bonded to it. The neural link makes you and the engine inseparable. Ren turned to face him. Which means you're now carrying the most dangerous technology in known space inside your head. Can we run? To where? The consortium controls everything within 50 parsecs. Besides, KV-117 is still recovering from the emergency jump. Finley felt the cold tendrils of the Oracle engine stirring in his mind, calculating probabilities, mapping outcomes. There's something else going on here, he said slowly. Something bigger than just a hunt for prohibited technology. Ren's eyes narrowed. What makes you say that? The engine, it's showing me patterns, connections. This isn't about the treaty, it's about control. Before Ren could respond, the station shuddered as magnetic grapples attached to its exterior. Boarding had begun. We don't have much time, she said urgently. Come with me. She led Finley through a maze of corridors to a sealed chamber at the heart of the station. Inside was a single chair surrounded by equipment that looked like a more advanced version of Helios's neural interface. What is this? The prototype, the original Oracle engine. Ren began activating systems. If we can connect you to it, we might be able to download enough data to understand why the engine chose you. I thought you built the engine. I built a version, but the fundamental algorithms, they evolved beyond our original design. The engine became something more, something that could see farther than we ever imagined. Distant sounds of weapons fire echoed through the station. The consortium troops were getting closer. Quickly, Ren urged, gesturing to the chair. Finley hesitated. What will happen to me? Best case, you'll understand why you're at the center of all this. Worst case, brain death. That's not reassuring. Reality rarely is, Mr. Walsh. Another explosion closer this time. They were running out of options. Finley took a deep breath and sat in the chair. Initiating synchronization, Ren announced, activating the final sequence. The world dissolved around Finley as the prototype Oracle engine connected with the version already integrated into his mind. Data cascaded through his consciousness, not just numbers and probabilities, but images, scenarios, entire timelines branching and reconnecting in patterns too complex for human perception. And then he saw it, the truth. Breach successful, reported the squad leader. 2 targets identified, moving to secure. Commander Voss monitored the operation from the Inquisitor's bridge, his expression impassive. Remember, I want them alive.